Ever wonder why a woman swipes right, shows up to dinner, and then ghosts right after you pay? It happened to a friend of mine recently, leaving him confused. And I genuinely felt sorry for him. And honestly, it got me thinking, is that fair or just how dating works now? I'm Joe, and this is the Philosophy Edge, where we cut through the on everyday stuff nobody says out loud. If you're into real talk, dating, ethics, relationships, and everything human, hit like, subscribe, notifications on. It keeps me going, seriously. And thanks. Look, I do this series because every episode comes from my real life. Everything from things that happen to me, conversations with friends, clients over coffee, late night scrolls. It's stuff that's awkward, funny, or straight up fascinating, like someone I know telling me about her sorority days. Her keeping a chart of guys who'd spring for fancy food, or venting about apps. I'm not preaching, I'm digging into daily human mess using philosophy, asking the question why and why we pretend it's equal when it's not. So recently I've heard of the term foodie calls. I laughed because of the obvious reference, but it reminded me of a conversation I had with an old friend. A conversation that shocked the shit out of me. Let's call her Laura. Laura is happily married these days, and honestly, she's just a beautiful soul. But back in the day, she was a wild child. When she was in college at a university not to be named, that's in the north of Illinois, she had told me that her and her sorority sisters used to keep this chart, which was basically a list of guys who were good for taking them out to nice dinners. Dating just for the meal, no spark, no follow-up. Now, recent surveys still show it's common. The classic studies found 30 to 33% of women admitted to it, and newer 2025 to 2026 polls put it around 1 in 3 Gen Z singles going on dates mainly for the free food. And yeah, it's mostly attractive women leveraging their looks for free steak, sushi, lobster, whatever's on the menu. Guys, we're still footing the bill on about 84% of first dates. There's basically no flip side where men are getting free fancy meals of it. No cap. Sushi. I'm actually craving a dragon roll right now. What's interesting is that Laura framed it as networking, like smart social strategy, swapping intel on who'll spring for food for a good spot, building connections, not necessarily romance. A lot of women today talk about it the same way. Budget hacking, trying new restaurants, or just the girls gotta eat. Now let's bring in the feminist point of view on female empowerment. Some would argue this is empowerment. Women finally realizing the power they have, their looks, their charm, what sociologist Catherine Hakim calls erotic capital, and using it strategically in a dating world that's still stacked against them. It's agency. It's flipping the script. It's saying if the system expects men to pay, why not take the win? In a post-feminist world, this kind of choice feels like liberation. Women aren't waiting to be chosen, they're choosing the terms. But is it really empowerment? If the power only works by misleading someone you're not interested in, does that advance women's freedom? Or just reinforce the same old transactional game? Other feminist voices push back hard here. They say true empowerment isn't about exploiting traditional gender roles or treating people as means to an end. It's about honesty, mutual respect, and dismantling the very stereotypes that make this possible in the first place. When it relies on deception, it might feel like a short-term win, but it breeds resentment, kills trust, and ultimately keeps everyone playing the same unequal roles instead of breaking them. It becomes so normalized on apps and in group chats that a lot of people don't even see it as shady anymore. It's just dating in 2026. But here's where it gets philosophical. Attractive women get flooded with options so they can pick and choose who pays without much risk. The average guy, he's usually chasing and paying, hoping for a real connection that creates the quiet asymmetry. Beauty becomes currency, and only one side really gets suspended. Since I'm a mortgage broker, I like to put things into perspective using numbers. Let's say a woman's attractiveness is scored on a scale of 1 to 10. If she makes heads turn, that's top of the scale. We're looking for pure physical looks, the main thing most men prioritize heavily in initial attraction. Let's call that X. Let's take that same scale and apply it to the men. 10 being the top tier, which is high income, earning capacity, financial stability, status symbols, ambition, etc. The bottom of that scale would obviously be some guy living in his mom's basement. Now picture this on an XY graph. The X-axis left to right is her attractiveness. 1 on the left, 10 on the right. The Y-axis, bottom to top, is his wealth resources. 1 at the bottom, 10 at the top. Here's what the data shows. The line slopes upward, often steeply. The more attractive she is, higher X, the higher the average wealth and resources of the men who pursue her. Take her out and happily pay for those fancy dinners, steak, sushi, or lobster. A solid 5 or 6 might get offers from guys in the 4 to 6 wealth range, but for a 9 and 10, she could pull from the 8 to 10 guys, the ones with the real financial power. Her looks multiply her options. Hotness shoots the curve up. That's why foodie calls feel so one-sided. Attractive women get flooded with men willing to foot the bill. Average guys, we're usually the ones chasing and paying, hoping something real develops. Here's a different angle. Men run boardrooms, politics, cash. Macro power is theirs. But dating, women gatekeep attention. Apps flood them, guys chase. Still, does this justify ghosting after risotto? Nah, honesty's owed. True, but short term, this loophole lets charm trump candor. It doesn't fix the deception. It's not survival, it's calculated. She called it networking, like smart connections, not shady. Fair point. Sororities swap favors, intros, but if you're not into him, still using him, maybe both hustling and ethics collide. I go to a lot of networking events, and my sole purpose is to meet people that I could do business with. Wait. So I guess that tracks. Maybe the answer is don't hate the player, hate the game. At some point, we have to say it is what it is. But I'm only asking the hard questions nobody will. Beatty buys dinner. Does it buy dignity? Drop your take below. What do you think? I'm Joel, and this is the Philosophy Edge, where we ask the hard questions nobody else will, because apparently free sushi is worth more than basic honesty these days.
If you want more content like this, hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.